When police finally entered the mansion connected to Tupac Shakur's final days, the quiet neighborhood of Woodland Hills seemed to hold its breath as officers stepped inside the 5,895-square-foot Mediterranean-style home at 4730, Azucina Road, a house that had once been full of music, family, friends, and the restless energy of a rising legend. The heated pool with its waterfall stood still, the arcade and pinball machines silent, and the slot machines Tupac had installed for fun now lifeless, all of it frozen in time as if the life had been vacuumed out of the place. What they discovered would unravel decades of secrets, expose million-dollar conspiracies, and reveal a truth so shocking it would forever change what the world thought it knew about the legendary rapper's death, a truth hidden behind the walls of a mansion that had once been vibrant and alive but now carried only echoes, shadows, and the first clues to a story far darker than anyone had imagined. To the public, Tupac Shakur represented the embodiment of success, a revolutionary poet, a platinum-selling artist, and a cultural icon whose words gave voice to a generation fighting against systemic oppression and violence, and his image of wealth and fame made him appear larger than life, untouchable, and unstoppable. Yet behind that powerful image was a much darker reality, one that the world never saw, a life where the pressures, dangers, and manipulations surrounding him were constantly tightening, silently shaping his final months in ways no one could have imagined, creating a divide between the Tupac the world worshipped and the Tupac who lived in the shadows of contracts, debts, and battles that were far more complex than the public ever knew. Fade back to the Woodland Hills mansion at night, where the once lively halls now lie quiet under the soft glow of the moon, the heated pool reflecting the stars above, and the concrete carving near the edge of the water reading, "Outlaws, let no man separate what we create," standing as the only tangible testament to Tupac's presence and vision, untouched by renovations, by time, or by the countless hands that moved through the home after his death. The mansion, which had witnessed music, laughter, late-night creativity, and the complex dynamics of fame and exploitation, now exists as a silent monument to a life that was as brilliant as it was tragically constrained, and every shadow, every empty room, every faded mark on the walls seems to whisper the story of a man whose voice, ideas, and spirit could not be contained or erased. Even decades later, the echoes of Tupac's life resonate through the space, telling the story of triumph and betrayal, of genius and manipulation, of love, loss, and relentless pursuit of self-expression, leaving an indelible mark on those who enter and reminding the world that while his physical presence is gone, his legacy, immortal, untouchable, and fiercely defiant, continues to live, inspire, and demand that no one ever separate what he created. Producers like Daz Dillinger, Johnny J, and Shock G worked tirelessly to organize, restore, and produce Tupac's unreleased material, turning years of forgotten recordings into albums that would cement his legacy long after his death, and over 200 songs emerged, each revealing a facet of his genius that had been hidden from the world, with estimates now suggesting as many as 500 total recordings had survived the years of secrecy, exploitation, and neglect. These recovered tracks formed the backbone of posthumous releases such as Are You Still Down?, Remember Me, 1997, Greatest Hits, 1998, and Until the End of Time, 2001, albums that collectively sold tens of millions of copies and re-established Tupac as one of the most enduring and influential artists in music history, bridging the gap between the Tupac the public knew and the Tupac who had poured his heart, mind, and soul into his craft. Each song was more than entertainment, it was a testament to his resilience, a defiance against the system that had attempted to control him, and a reminder of the raw honesty, vulnerability, and power that made his work timeless. As fans listened to the lyrics, felt the rhythms, and absorbed the emotion embedded in every beat, Tupac's voice transcended death, proving that even the most calculated attempts to exploit, silence, or manipulate him could never erase the creative spirit he had fought to protect, a spirit that Afeni Shakur ensured would continue to inspire, provoke, and captivate audiences across the globe. By the early 2000s, over 200 unreleased songs were recovered, with estimates now suggesting up to 500 total recordings, as Afeni Shakur and her team painstakingly catalogued every box, tape, and notebook discovered across storage units and private archives in Los Angeles, revealing a treasure trove of Tupac's artistic legacy that had remained hidden for years. Producers like Daz Dillinger, Johnny J, and Shock G held entire vaults of unreleased material, each track a window into Tupac's mind, capturing moments of raw emotion, political commentary, personal reflection, and the relentless drive that had defined his career. The process was meticulous and painstaking. Reels were restored, handwritten lyrics transcribed, and recordings digitized to ensure nothing was lost to time, while every recovered piece revealed not only Tupac's creativity but also the depth of what had been withheld from the public. Each discovery brought a renewed sense of purpose, a chance to honor Tupac's true voice and vision, and the anticipation of sharing these unheard works with the world was electric. These recordings became the foundation for several posthumous albums, including Are You Still Down? Remember Me, 1997, Greatest Hits, 1998, and Until the End of Time, 2001, projects that collectively sold tens of millions of copies and re-established Tupac as one of the most enduring artists in music history. Beyond the numbers and sales, however, the recovered material offered a glimpse into the man behind the legend, his thoughts, his vulnerabilities, his unfiltered truth, ensuring that even after death, Tupac's voice would continue to inspire, challenge, and resonate with generations to come, preserving the essence of a life both celebrated and exploited. Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother, soon discovered that her son's finances had been manipulated through one of the most exploitative contracts in music history, and the realization hit her with a mix of fury, heartbreak, and determination that would define the next chapter of her life. The so-called three-page prison contract Tupac signed while incarcerated, later described as legally worthless, had effectively bound him to death row under crippling financial terms, stripping him of independence and placing the wealth he had earned into hands that profited from his genius while leaving him deeply in debt. Afeni refused to be silent, unwilling to let the world forget the injustice her son endured, and in 1997 she launched Amaru Entertainment, a company dedicated to preserving Tupac's legacy and reclaiming his assets, transforming grief into action. Every document she reviewed, every call she made, revealed new layers of exploitation, unauthorized advances, hidden debts, and possessions listed as income while disappearing into the coffers of the label, a system designed to profit from Tupac's life even as it drained him financially. Her investigation soon uncovered extraordinary discoveries, including storage units across Los Angeles filled with hundreds of unreleased recordings, handwritten lyrics, and personal writings, treasures that had survived years of secrecy and neglect. Each item was a glimpse into Tupac's mind, his struggles, his creativity, and his unfiltered truth, a stark contrast to the carefully curated image sold to the world. Afeni's relentless pursuit not only began to restore what was rightfully his but also revealed the depth of the corporate exploitation that had ensnared him, a story of power, control, and resilience that would eventually allow Tupac's voice to live on far beyond the walls of the Woodland Hills mansion. Over the years, the property changed hands several times, sold in 1997 for $920,000, again in 1999 for $1.2 million to DJ Lethal of Limp Bizkit, and eventually reaching a $3.4 million sale in 2025. While the mansion's value grew, the truth about Tupac's finances finally emerged, revealing a story far more tragic than anyone imagined. Despite his fame, global recognition, and over $60 million in record sales, Tupac died with an estimated net worth of only $200,000 to $500,000, and nearly $5 million in debt to death row, a shocking revelation that contradicted the image of wealth and success he had projected to the world. The official estate inventory showed that he owned just a few vehicles and a small bank account, while much of his jewelry and other luxury items had been advanced by the label, only to be counted as debt, a cruel manipulation hidden behind layers of legalese and corporate control. Even worse, death row charged Tupac's account for expenses that had nothing to do with him, from other artists' hotel bills to Suge Knight's wife's credit card charges, a constant erosion of his finances that went unnoticed by fans and the public. Each transaction, each hidden debt, painted a picture of a man trapped not by lack of talent or ambition, but by a system that profited off his genius while leaving him financially shackled, an almost invisible war that he fought silently until the very end. The mansion itself, once vibrant with laughter, music, and the energy of his friends and collaborators, now stood as a testament to both his achievements and the exploitation that had shadowed them, the very walls silently recording the contrast between fame and freedom, wealth and debt, illusion and reality. After Tupac's death on September 13, 1996, the scene at the Woodland Hills mansion changed dramatically, because within 2 months death row associates swiftly cleared out the property, removing jewelry, awards, vehicles, and studio equipment, and although the official reason was to protect assets, the rushed and secretive nature of the operation suggested something else entirely. A cover-up to hide the true financial and contractual exploitation that had kept Tupac trapped. The once vibrant home was stripped piece by piece in a way that felt urgent and calculated, turning the mansion from a symbol of life and creativity into a quiet, emptied shell where the absence of everything Tupac had touched spoke louder than any explanation the label tried to offer. What remained inside the empty house were haunting traces of the life once lived there, wall marks where plaques had hung, scratches from motorcycles, and carpet imprints from removed furniture, silent reminders of the energy that once filled every room, now replaced by a heavy stillness. Only one piece of evidence endured, a concrete carving near the pool reading, "Outlaws, let no man separate what we create," etched by Tupac himself, and even through renovations it remains visible today, standing as a symbol of his creative spirit and a final message that survived long after everything else connected to his life in the mansion had been taken away. The 5,895-square-foot Mediterranean-style mansion at 4730, Azucina Road in Woodland Hills, California, where Tupac spent his final months, seemed like the perfect reward for a young man who had risen from poverty to global stardom, surrounded by tropical landscaping and nestled in one of Los Angeles's most exclusive neighborhoods, with its 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, a heated pool with a waterfall, arcade and pinball machines, and even slot machines Tupac had installed for fun. It was vibrant and full of life, constantly filled with family, friends, and fellow artists, a place where laughter, late-night studio sessions, and the energy of creativity bounced off every wall, making the home feel like the center of a world Tupac had fought so hard to build, a world that should have represented freedom, success, and everything he had earned through his music and resilience. But beneath that lively surface lay a darker truth, because despite his massive success and more than $60 million in record sales by 1996, Tupac didn't actually own the mansion, as the property was leased by Death Row Records as part of his post-jail deal with Suge Knight, and in reality Tupac had only been in escrow to buy the home at the time of his death, a tragic reminder of how close he had come to real independence. What looked like wealth and stability was instead a facade built on contracts and control, a system that kept Tupac trapped even as the world believed he had finally broken free, revealing the unsettling gap between his public triumph and the private financial chains that tied him to death row.